Welcome to another episode of last week's Comics Today. I have a huge stack of books here, and this video might not be as long as expected because I'm going to skip over some things. So, we're going to start with Transformers issue 25. This is the start of Kirkman and Mora. This is the first book that I read. This is the order in which I read them, and we're going to go through everything. So, this, by the way, is not the cover that I requested. It is the cover I received. So there's that. Now, Jorge Corona draws about half of this, the Decepticon-focused half, and I already had concerns. This scene, I feel, is completely unnecessary, but basically, Megatron is taking everyone to task, and he names all of them. Meanwhile, he's got this big slash across him. See him there. And it sets up one thing this here. Oh yeah, all hail Megatron. His whole argument is weird. And peace through tyranny, whatever. But I've got this one blazing eye, which gives me hope for a series that I will not be reading anymore because of this half of the book. So already I was kind of concerned, like the first half with Megatron's entire speech, but then we get to this kid talking to, are you lost, Earthchild? Talking to Optimus Prime, and even, are you lost, Earthchild? I'm like, oof. Not great phrasing. This is not good dialogue. So she's wearing PPE, I guess. She says, you have a mask like me. And I'm like, oh dear God, I hate everything. Oh, my face guard? Yes. You and I are the same. I wish I were making this dialogue up. I was scared of you, but now I'm not. This is encapsulated the entire series, the entire issue. Not series. Because everything now is just text. There is no subtext to anything. And what Johnson is great at is all of these layers to his characters. So, do a power bomb. There's, what's the name of the one? Extremity. It's right there. Do a power bomb. Extremity. Murder Falcon. The characters have layers. They are saying one thing, doing something else. There's a lot of family, about found family. There's drama. There's all of this stuff going on beneath the surface, and now everything is happening at a surface level. People just say whatever. Oh, I hated every second of this book. And I'm enjoying, currently, Kirkman writing Battle Beast. I ordinarily like Corona and Mora. Both of them working on one book is an absolute clash of styles. It is very jarring, the transition, even if individually I like both of their art. Here's a tease for something that I won't be reading, because as soon as I finished reading this book, this fucking guy, as soon as I finished this, I was signed up for issue 26, and I immediately canceled that. And then this introduces some other bullshit I don't care about. And then we get these two people, and there is one other person, this guy here, which... This outfit also made me laugh, because it's like... What if non-military wanted to design their own military-ish uniform? And I feel like that's what this guy did. He went to some big name fashion designer, and he's like, maybe I want to look kind of military, but not. Can you do that? And apparently they could. So there's a bunch of other bullshit happening with the Ark, with Cybertron, and I could not give less of a shit. I enjoyed the first 24 issues when it was written by Danny Warren Johnson, and now that Kirkman has taken over, regardless of who is drawing it, I am done. I was talking about the jarring clash of art styles. There's also a very jarring clash of writing styles coming off of Johnson to Kirkman, and I am not okay with it. I'm okay with just being done. this is unfortunate. So I went through my stack and I said, hey, I have another robot book. I really enjoyed Volume 1 of Astrobots. Let's cleanse the palate. Let's get back on good footing. And I read this. There is this sort of recap of what has come before. There's also, supposedly, it should be out sometime around now, a reprint of Volume 1 that came out a few years ago. So all of that is recapped here, and then we get into the story itself, and I did not find this as well done as the first volume. And I don't know if I want to continue reading this now. But basically what is happening, what those first 2 pages are talking about, is there are these robots that have been sent into space because humanity, of course, screwed up planet Earth, and they are finding a new home, and these robots are the advanced guard that goes to a planet and sets up a city, and one of the robots has other ideas, and there's a clash of agendas. So all of that's going on, and then it continues in this volume, and there is a fight between 2 of the robots, and they have a history, and I don't find the art to be as clear, because the art has changed. It's Volume 1 was also written by Simon Furman, and I want to say, I could be wrong, but the artist has changed, and I didn't find the writing as sharp as Volume 1, and I found the art to be a little confusing. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't know what I'm looking at. So I will recommend grabbing Volume 1 of this, and Volume 2, I'm probably going to talk about this with Bird next week, and his thoughts, if he comments. Please comment, because I hope I'm not alone in this, but I just don't think it's as good as Volume 1. So at this point in my reading, I'm like, I'm done with robots. Let's switch over to something else. Let's find 2 writers that I have previously enjoyed. That's Dan Abnett and Jonathan Hickman, and let's read some space shit. And this, it was not late. It was early in the evening, and this book was putting me to sleep. I don't understand why this page is basically, this panel specifically is upside down. This is a weird artistic choice. But we've got Gamora, we've got her teaming up with Darkhawk, and into this comes Captain Marvel, which she kind of comes off as a bitch. It's very weird. But basically, there's a shifting number of robots, because here there's a handful, and then he does this move, and then suddenly there's even more than there ever were before, which is weird. Like, they weren't surrounded. He does this move, and then they are surrounded. That's not great tactically. But here they're surrounded, they're in trouble, and she gets a quip in before helping, and I'm like, this is dumb. Everything about this is dumb. And then all of this happens, and they're talking about the Guardians being disbanded again, and it's Darkhawk. You know it's Darkhawk. Everyone in this gives like an origin story backstory, and it's super weird, and none of it feels organic, and it's basically all talk about how the Queen of the Skrulls has maybe returned, and they're all investigating. And like I said, this book was putting me to sleep, and I came back to it. I put it down, and then I came back to it the next day, and I reread the same page like 4 times, and I'm like, this is still terrible. It's terrible. It's not just that I was tired the night before. It's terrible. So I skipped ahead. I'm like, let's find something interesting. Does this at least end well? And I got to this fight. I skipped all of this middle stuff. I have no idea what happens except from context clues from the end. So I'm like, all right, here's the end. Does it at least end well? And if so, I'll go back and read the middle part that I just skipped over. And spoilers, it does not end well either. It's still dumb, it's still poorly written, but we get to the appearance of these two, and we find out that this book has been taking place in the past before the main Imperial stuff kicks off, and then we get to some seemingly burning corpses. How did 2 professional writers whose work I have enjoyed for, I'm going to say, years just crap out such a stinker. Oh, this was bad. So I read that, and then I'm like, all right, Spider-Man Wolverine, this is historically a fun book, despite child death that was talked about in the last one. I'm like, these two teaming up is fun. And then we get to two sad sacks drinking in a bar, and I'm like, oh no. This is not the feel-good that I needed at the moment. So this is actually Spider-Man and Wolverine versus a vermin swarm in the subway. And there's a cause for that, and Morlocks get mentioned. And then a Morlock shows up, and then even more sad things happen, and I'm just like, holy cow. Thus far, the team-up of Spider-Man and Wolverine, the previous 5 issues, have been fun. They've been fun. There has been some heavy drama related to Peter's parents, related to some other stuff, Dread Shadow, and that child death that I referred to, and but largely fun. And then this is just two sad dudes. So I'm like, all right, I've had enough. Let's just read something that I hope is really good. Palmiotti, Panosian, Punisher. And this is great. So I'm 5 books deep at this point, and thankfully, I found something good. This is great. There's all of this, which is also a great start, by the way. It's a bunch of words. I hate this trope that you can just hang a person, a human body, one-handed. Nobody's that strong. The art, by the way, is gorgeous in this. The writing is really well done, and I'm looking forward to see wherever this story goes next, because by the end of this, some real shit has happened. We've got this sort of non-skull shirt that he's wearing, but Palmiotti, and there's this L zombie guy, and they get into a real tough fight. It's great. I don't really want to talk about it because I just want you to read it, but this is great, and it was one of the few. It's definitely the first great book that I read this week, but please, if you are at all interested, grab this, read it, get the rest of the series, because where I previously immediately unsubscribed from Transformers, I then went on the website and signed up for the rest of this, or however many next 2 or 3 that are available for pre-order. So after one good book, I'm looking at the rest of the pile. There is UnChosen, and I decided to skip to the end. Like, this has been a series where I have not understood in any way how things could wrap up. This is the end of the miniseries. So I went to the last page. I'm like, if there's a to be continued here, I'm done. And instead it says the beginning, and I threw it down, and I'm like, nope, not reading it. I then had a long conversation with my wife about frustration, general frustration, in all of this thus far. And she kind of laughed at me. And then I read Farmhand, because I'm like, please at least let Farmhand end well. This is the final issue, and thankfully it does end well. It ends very well. So all of the major confrontational stuff happened in the last issue, and this jumps time 9 years. And we then catch up with what has been going on. Some of this, by the way. But we catch up with the family, what's going on with them. We catch up a little bit with the world in general and the state of things, and it wraps a bunch of things up and gives hope for the future, and it's really phenomenal. I'm a big fan of this series. I'm not going to show off what happens over there, but I will say in this, Guillory talks a bit about the creation of the series, and he says at the bottom here, I've got A lot of new stories to tell. See you soon. I thought he said somewhere on here that it's coming sooner than expected, but it's on the usual social channels. So, it ends really well. I was once again on a good track. I'm like, okay, let's keep this train rolling. Let's go to Conan. So this is an anniversary issue. It's issue 25. Comic publishers will take any excuse if it's a multiple of 5, basically. I don't know. Whatever. It's oversized. They're calling it an anniversary issue. There is art. I think this is fully painted by Horley, and it's well done. It's kind of a celebration of Conan in general. This is Conan through the ages. There's a story reason why this stuff is happening, but it's gorgeous to look at. It is well done. It's basically an oversized one-shot, and it could be an introduction to Conan in general for anyone that is unfamiliar that wants to try Conan and see what Jim Zub, what him writing Conan is like. This, I'm going to recommend this as a place to start. If somehow you don't start with issue 1 or the first trade, which I recommend at every possible opportunity, then grab this because it's currently on the racks. Your shop might have it, and just give it a shot because it is well done. I really enjoy King Conan. We get a bunch of Conan as a young adventurer. We get a little bit of the thief stuff in at least this volume of the series, and I would kind of like to see more of the transition from the Berserker Barbarian Wanderer into the King. I kind of want that, or see more of the King stuff. I enjoyed it in Jason Aaron's previous run. I don't know, man. This gave me a taste, and I would like some more. Next up, we're getting near the bottom of the stack. Sacrificers, issue 16. There is this opening block of text that will remind you about what is happening, and I did not reread this. I skimmed it, honestly, because I just started... I ordinarily skip this page entirely in every issue, and I just started reading the comic. And I remembered kind of some of the things, and then when I was at the shop on Wednesday, Berg mentions that all of this is here, and so I did go back and I skimmed this, because I'm like, wait, what's happening? So all of that's available, but we've got I don't even know. I now don't know how to recap it. What is happening with the daughter? But we have Pigeon. We have a fight with the gods going on. We've got destruction on just a massive scale. We've got some very personal stuff going on. We've got this going on. And if you know what's happening, then that's problematic. And if you don't, then just know that that is a problem. So we've got the sun god, we've got a pigeon god who has stolen godhood, and we've got some real serious shit going on. And then it ends with this conversation. Look at this. This is incredible. It ends with this conversation between a father and a daughter, and it ends without a clear indication of which way she's gonna go, and I loved it. Oh. It seems clear for so long what she's gonna do, and this axe is hanging for so long, and I'm just like, oh, these final pages were wonderful. They're phenomenal. I loved it, and it ends just without resolution, and I need the next issue now. Sacrificers is one of the best books on the stands. I love this book so much. It's so good. Highly recommended. This is one to start at the beginning. Do not jump in here unless you just want to look at some awesome art. But if you want to at all understand the story, start at the beginning. Start at issue 1. Grab the first trade. There are only 15 prior issues. I think it's 3 trades. Pretty sure it's 3 trades. Grab those. You won't be disappointed. I loaded the stack for all of the good stuff. And I opened this up, and I see my irons singing for you, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to put you at the bottom. I'm going to save you for a treat after I get through these last 2 books. So we have Marian Heretic, and I enjoyed the art of this. There were preview pages put out. There's suckling happening on page 1, which I think is how Saga starts. Isn't that the cover of the first issue? Anyway, we've got this woman here, and the trouble I had with this, there were preview pages available for months for the series. None of it had any dialogue, and I'm like, I like the art. I'm kind of interested in wherever the story is going, at least based on the solicitation text. I would like to know whether or not I will like the writing, and no preview pages had letters. No preview pages were lettered. And that is a problem. Every new number 1, every start of a new creative team, if it's not being renumbered by the big 2, should have preview pages put out. This is my baseline, bare minimum the publishing industry should be doing. Every number 1 should have preview pages. And lettering. Somehow that needs to be said as well. So, art's great. Story is okay. Tangent. I had entered one of those Top Cow writing contests years ago, and the character I picked was Magdalena, who I didn't really know much about, and I wound up doing some research. I knew kind of Witchblade. I never really read an issue of her stuff, and I had read, for a brief period, Darkness. So I was familiar with the universe. But I'm like, I'd like to do something with Magdalena and this woman who works for the church, and she goes off and she fights these monsters. And that's basically what's happening here. There's a bunch of talk about witches. And we've got this woman with the open shirt. She's a witch. We've got this chick. And cool hair, honestly. And basically what this is men of the cloth poorly treating a woman who is in their service, and it's dudes being dicks, and there's some witch and some religious stuff going on, and this is not something I want to read. If it was maybe more like Warrior Nun, I don't know, that could be interesting. Like, if the main character is basically, I mean, she's subservient to these just dick bags, and I don't have any interest in that. Like, give her more agency, and I think it's leaning that way. I think it is the story that is told in this is basically her. She's being tempted, certainly, by independence, and she appears to be leaning in that direction. I don't know where the series is going, though, because I'm not signing up for any more of this. I don't want. I didn't care for it, but the art is great. So I will see whatever Jaro does next. I have no idea how that's pronounced, but art's great. I just didn't care for. This is Teeny Howard. Yeah, I didn't care for the writing. Speaking of not caring for writing, we have 2 more writers that I used to enjoy, and now, holy shit, they shit out another brick. So, we have Hickman and Dugan, and all of this Age of Revelation shit is going on for the next couple of months, but this is clearly intended to be a comedic book, and it is not that funny. This page is kind of amusing, but there's a bunch of Mojo stuff, and there's Hellcat gathering a team, and I think one of the funniest things is what happens with Rhino in the background of the main story. But there are attempts at humor that fall flat to me, and I didn't really care for any of these. These 2 panels are also pretty great. Baby Phoenix. It's like three panels, maybe, are funny out of however many pages this is. What is this, 20? Whew. I grabbed it because there were 2 writers that I like whose work I have enjoyed, and the solicitation text sounded interesting, and then I get the actual issue, and I'm like, I don't care for any part of this, so I don't recommend that. So then I finally get to Falling in Love on the Path to Hell, issue 10, which has this great opening line. My iron's singing for you. Basically, what came into focus here is we've got this guy who is not great at, honestly, a lot of things, and he's one of our main characters, and the more skilled she's more skilled at most things in life or on life, whatever this place is, and he's our main character, and he's just like trying to make it through. He's just trying as hard as he can, and he's unsuccessful, and it's really well told. It's so great. The guy makes mistakes, he winds up in situations that are out of his control, and it's phenomenal. It's really well written, drawn, highly recommended. There's a lot of text at the end here about where things are going in general. So it talks a bit about the break between arcs, and it talks, I think it says there won't be another issue in the first half of 2026, in the first part of 2026. It's maybe not half, but certainly first part. But they are working ahead. They're working towards the end of the series, so I don't know, maybe we're halfway through. I can't tell, but highly recommended. Grab the first trade, jump into this wherever you can. It's really well done. It's on the level of Sacrifices, but I'll get to that in a second. So, highly recommend this. And then lastly, there is a trade of the first volume of Bug Wars. This will be continuing. It's said that at the end of the final issue of the first arc, but also book 2 coming soon. This has not yet been solicited, so it will be sometime, I don't know, March at the earliest, but this is really good. It's kind of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but horror Barbarian, and it's phenomenal. It's incredible. As far as Pick of the Week, I have no idea. There's a bunch of stuff that I don't recommend, but Sacrifices, Falling in Love, Conan's good. It's not on the same level. Farmhand, Punisher's great, and then some of this other stuff. Astrobots, Transformers. Whew, what? They really a bit on Transformers. So, I'm going to recommend Punisher, Farmhand, start at the beginning on all of these things, Falling in Love on the Path to Hell, and Sacrifices, all of these. Standout books in a week of really troubling comics. Wow. Just, what a roller coaster I went on, just trying to read, just trying to be entertained. So, I got all of this stuff from my local comic shop. Berg wanted me to name the shop. He's brought this up a few times, and I'm not going to do it this week. I'm out of respect. I did not get the cover that I wanted for Transformers, and I'm not going to say that and then also the name of the shop in the same video. It could be found out if you did some digging. I think enough clues are there. I've said it at least once. So I'm not going to do that to him. But I got all of these books from my local comic shop. If you don't know where yours is, you can use this URL to find the one closest to you. Hopefully you have a good shop. I do. Thanks for watching.